JJ, do you know I looked up what your real name was because I only think of you as JJ?
And what is it?
Well, you're John
James. Yeah, my dad's John.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a John Jr., really.
So you're JJJ.
Yeah, but I'm John James, but I've never been called that. Like, except for
Even when you were little?
When I was little, I became JJ really quickly, but John James when I was in trouble. Like that's the only time I ever hear it. And I still, if anyone, if a receptionist says, is it John James? I still get this like shudder of my mum saying it really sternly. But I was always JJ, and then I always thought a day would come that I would have to be John or John James or something like that. But a couple of things happened. One, there was a teacher at my school who went by JJ, as in with the other teachers.
Oh, how funny.
And so I was like, oh, maybe a grown-up can be called that. And then I joined the Marines, and everybody gets a nickname in the Marines. It's usually the first thing you mess up that gets stuck to you for the rest of your life. But JJ's kind of already a nickname in itself, so that's
So they all called you JJ?
Yeah, everyone was always JJ. And then it kind of works in telly. Right.
But, yeah, it does. It works perfectly in telly. Yeah. But when you were a teacher, though, surely that your students knew you.
I was Mr. Chalmers.
Mr. Chalmers.
Mr. Chalmers. Such a funny thing, no?
So those students, have any of them contacted you since you've become famous?
I've not bumped into a few of them. Like
You've
in the
not
street.
Bumped into me.
Yeah, I bumped into a few in the street. I remember bumping into one of them, and he's one of my favorite pupils. His name's Gareth. He was like, he'd probably be like 14. I taught him graphic communication, and I bumped into him, and he's like a lawyer now. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
a weird thing, isn't
like,
it?
It's been over 15 years since I was a teacher.
So what was
the rest?
So the decision was, because I mean, looking at your life, because a lot of people know bits of your life, they don't know all of your life, and your life has been extraordinary. You've lived sort of 3 lifetimes, and you're still very young. In those years, you've had 3 different lifetimes, haven't you?
Yeah, and like I think if you look at
I mean your adult life. I don't mean as a child.
Yeah, totally that as well. I think first of all, it's because we sometimes think of adult lives and lifetimes within a profession. Yeah. You're like, well, if you did a career in the Marines, you were a teacher, you're now in TV. So those are like 3 different lives. Yeah. But there was times where they kind of overlapped. There were times where
when did they overlap then in the beginning?
So basically I joined the Marines to begin with, and then the Marines allowed me to basically switch to being in the reserves. So I continued part-time in the Marines whilst I went to university, studied to be a teacher, ticked all those boxes and became a teacher. I then had and throughout that time when I was studying, you were always in schools. You are a teacher for the best part of it. And then basically I once I was fully qualified as a teacher, I remember looking at like having achieved all that. And I thought, if I start working now as a teacher and, through to retirement age, it was like 46 years. I was like, I think I can go off and do something else. And so I decided to go back to the Marines full time, began in that part of it, expecting to, do 20 years in the Marines at that point, and then still retire and have a 26-year teaching career, Wow, that was the plan.
That's how you planned it out.
That was pretty much the plan.
I mean, they're 2 extremes, let's be honest. A teacher to the Marines, they're polar opposites.
Yeah.
Aren't they? I mean, I've never been
there's things that carry across, because one of the roles that you'll do in the Marines is you are a leader and you are a teacher and you are a thing. That type of responsibility is put into you almost immediately in the Marines. But obviously, the higher up the rank system you go, the more responsibility, the more teaching, the more instructing you do. And so those are classroom skills, really, and people skills. Yeah. So there's some things which can cross over, but yeah, absolutely. There's another part of it where you just go like, especially once I got to Afghanistan. Yeah. I remember once we were just about to go on patrol, and I just turned to my corporal and I was like, Murph, there's been a mistake. And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm a design and technology teacher. Don't know why I'm here.
I see
but also I wasn't, I was.
I'm pleased to hear that, because that's what I imagine you waking up then and thinking, what have I done? But was it something that you always, obviously, because you said you went to university, but you were a reserve. But where did that come from, wanting to be a Marine?
So I was a cadet when I was at school,
right.
and I was a Marine cadet in particular. There's not many of those in existence in the country. And so the Marines, it wasn't that I wanted to join the military, it's that I wanted to join the Marines. I wanted to become a commando. But I did know that I wanted to serve in some way. Like, hence teaching, my brother's a teacher, my sister's a nurse, my dad was a minister.
Your dad,
Yeah. So like service was a thing. You're part of something bigger than yourself, and you can do that in a whole heap of different ways. So I knew I wanted to give something to society, but you can do that in your own way. And the Marines was the thing which like appealed to me. Yeah.
And then, I suppose let's cut to you saying in Afghanistan, that moment where you wake up and think, well, I'm a teacher. But then, you faced the most horrific things and you lost friends. And that obviously that moment changed your life, and it wasn't a life choice, whereas the other ones had been life choices. This was not a life choice.
Yes, in that moment, it's not a life choice, but actually the life choice happened when I was 17 and I joined the Marines. You've got to accept in that moment that you're signing up for that possibility.
But do you really? I know this is I've spoken to other soldiers.
Yeah.
And I always say, do you really think that it may happen to you? You
do. And throughout that time, whether I was in the reserves, whether I was full time in the Marines, whether I was teaching, I was still in the Marines, and it was still during a period of intense conflict where everybody you knew in the military was either in Afghanistan, preparing for Afghanistan, or just back from Afghanistan. It was a huge chunk of my life, and I was really aware of it was a proper war, and I was going there one day. Like, I knew that for a long time. Like, it would be my turn. So there's a little bit of it in your brain that throughout all that time thinks, buddy, you could be dead this time next year. Absolutely. You think that.
Was there not fear? Was there?
It's not like it's fear. There was a period in my life where I was living a very extreme life. In a good and bad way, I was doing a lot of living, because you just thought, this could all be over, very soon. Wow. So I better make the most of it. And I lived like that for a long time. And then I went to Afghanistan, and we knew statistically, doing the job I was doing, there's about 1 in 8 chance of being killed or injured.
1 in 8?
Yeah. It was pretty, like, don't get me wrong, the majority of people who go to Afghanistan or went to Afghanistan weren't even in a combat role. So they're not in a anyone can get hurt there, sure, but there are safer jobs to be done. Where I was bang on the front line, right up against it. So it was 1 in 8. But you still looked at that and went, there's a 7, 8 chance you'll be fine. Yes. Still, statistically, you've got more chance of being fine. So when it then happens, there's a bit of shock. It's a shocking thing when it's happening for sure. You're like, oh, but you are like, it's just my turn. It's like literally just my turn.
I've never heard you say that.
Yeah. It's like just they've called my number, and now I've just got to get on with it.
But were you saying when it happened? Were you aware when it happened of it happening?
Yeah, so
the bomb happening.
Yeah, so I can remember little fragments, little split seconds of from, in fact, the whole day, because your memory doesn't necessarily save the day. It's like it's sort of like when you're doing like your a Word document, and the computer shuts down before it's saved. You try and get it back, and some of the file is missing. That's what my day looks like. Big chunks of it are missing, right. But just enough of it is there. And so I can remember waking up in the morning. I can remember what the brief was for that day, where we were going, what we were doing. I can remember an hour before having lunch. And then I can remember pretty much the moment of the bang has gone off.
You remember that? That's incredible.
Interestingly, and I think we'll probably get onto this, when I say I remember it, so I've just gone through a year's worth of EMDR therapy. Okay. So a specific type of therapy where you relive these moments. You don't necessarily see them, but what you do is you feel them again.
You feel it.
And you remember your thought process in that. So when I'm talking about something that happened 15 years ago, and I'm trying to recall, like, to you now, that memory from 15 years ago. Actually, it's not from 15 years ago I'm recalling it. It's from 6 months ago when I sat in my living room with a therapist and recalled this thing almost as clear as day. And so I can remember that I remember, like, my ears were ringing, the dust was settling, there was chaos all around. And then this was almost as if I heard the bang after, like I just, this kind of echoing deep thud. And then, yes, those split seconds continue on, across the space of the half hour it took for the helicopter to get to me. The first time somebody got on top of me and started giving me first aid, the first time I heard that a helicopter was on its way, the first I heard a helicopter circling, these little fragments that got me to basically the last moment I remember was the helicopter just landed. I could hear the rotors going. My friend was sort of on top of me, and because my eye had been crushed and my eye socket had been crushed, I had my eyes closed, and I just opened my one eye and I looked up at my mate and I said, "Thank you, mate. Thanks for saving my life." And he chucked me on the back of the helicopter, and then I remember the whirring, and then this rush of them pumping ketamine into me, and that whilst it didn't put me to sleep, it put me into a state that I from that moment didn't remember anything else.
And how long were you?
So I was so from the bang going off to being in a hospital was 1 hour, conscious for that whole thing.
That's incredible.
Incredible the time. I mean, can you imagine 1 hour to being stabilized and amazing. They stabilize you for about 24 hours and then they can fly you back to the UK. So I was back in Birmingham within 48 hours of the blast going off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Back then they just wanted they could do a huge amount for you in Afghanistan, but they wanted to get you back to Birmingham. More hands, more knowledge, more people, more space. To begin that thing. So then I was in a coma for about a week, and then I woke up, and then I was in hospital for nine weeks, and full-time rehab for a year, recovery for 5 years.
And that's
the nuts and bolts of it.
And I think I've read a lot, and I've heard you talking before about the coma, and I think that's the thing that everybody is, I'm going to say intrigued. Okay, I'm going to use
it's an intriguing thing.
Because you were there, but you weren't there. And yet, we see the films, we read the books, we hear the podcast, whatever. That's a time that you will never get back, but you were there.
Oh, what's so wild about it is I blinked. That's all that happened. Just, as a listener, just blink your eyes. And where I'm sat right now, wherever you're sat, imagine when you open your eyes, you're now 2,500 miles away. A week of your life is gone. And because you're now in hospital and being, you're now a disabled person, for example.
Did you know your injuries then?
Not really, because I was I'd broken my neck as well. So I was on a spinal board. And so I was just kind of looking up at the sky, looking up at the roof of the hospital. And so I couldn't really see or feel what was going on around me. They came and then described what had happened to me.
They told you?
Yeah, and they kind of basically... they started from the bottom. They did the same thing when they were telling my family. They kind of started from the bottom and worked their way up. But my understanding at the time really was that what happened when you got wounded in Afghanistan, if you survived, was you lost your legs. That's mainly what was happening to people. And so when they told me you still got your legs, albeit they were torn up and things like that, I genuinely thought, well, if I've still got my legs, then you'll fix me in a week and send me back.
Yeah. You wanted to get back?
Oh my God, yeah.
Wow.
I wanted to get back straight. And so it took them a long time, of telling me, and then eventually as I could then begin to see what was happening to me and appreciate the enormity of the internal damage and the nerve damage and all that sort of stuff, that oh no, this is going to take years and years to recover from.
But when was the moment? I know, and you've been open about that you have crashes quite understandably, and we'll talk about PTSD because it's sort of overused, and we will break that down. But when was the time that you suddenly re-emerged and you found you again? Because I don't want to talk about the traumatic time, because that's your time, and I think that's not what we're here. We're talking about the joy, and you are a joy spreader, and I love working with you, and I love being around you. You're an incredible person. I really mean that. I can look to your face and say it. But where did the rebirth of JJ happen again?
It's a good question. You could point at a lot of different great moments within my recovery, and you could point at a lot of kind of joyful moments where you got your independence back, or you were able to get home for the first time.
Oh, that must have been incredible.
Loads of great things like that. But like in many ways, the big one was the Invictus Games. Like back here in 2014 in London, this big sports competition for wounded, injured and sick, the first one of its kind.
Wasn't it fantastic?
It was amazing. But again, none of us knew what it was going. We all just signed up for a sports day, really, and none of us appreciated, one, how big it was going to be, how popular it would be, the sort of outreach of support and positivity that we experienced, let alone what we were able to share with people by sharing our experiences, our stories, our lived experience, like everything that we'd learned throughout our recovery. But equally, that ability to realize, what you were doing was taking a set of skills and values and stuff that the military taught you and applying it to something new. And that teaches you can apply it to lots of other things in life. But what it teaches you is that you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Like you've like not to worry so much, because you've got a proven track record of being okay. Like something awful happened and you've been okay. Yeah.
What a wonderful way to look at life.
Yeah.
And actually other people through the Not Forgotten Association that I've spoken to that also talk about, many talk about the Invictus Games, but also talk about that feeling of, I'm alive, I'm going to do this, I'm going to challenge myself. And it makes you feel like because you need goals because of, you've been in the military.
Yeah,
that's a very different mindset than we have, wandering down the street, being a TV presenter and a radio presenter. Okay, you've gone through extraordinary things, not to talk about your injury, I'm talking about before.
Yeah.
It's the way you train yourself.
And to be honest, I didn't necessarily realize how different that was until all these years later, looking back at it. Actually, my new partner, because she doesn't come from that world, Sophie doesn't come from the world.
Sophie's rather lovely. I know Sophie very well.
She doesn't come from the world of the military and all that sort of stuff, so she's never really been exposed to it.
But she's gone through her own stuff.
Oh, because she's gone through her own trauma, of course.
Yeah.
But she's never been exposed to the strangeness that is.
Yeah.
And when I say strange, it's just different to how most people have sort of come up in life. And like I said to you, everyone I knew was either in Afghanistan training for Afghanistan. All that stuff was totally normal. And I don't just mean that we would go to a war zone and we might see difficult things. It's that we'd go to a war zone, we would operate at the highest level and we would do this extraordinary job, but it would just feel normal. The whole thing felt so super normal.
At the highest level. So I've presented, you present at the high, you don't want to get anything wrong. And when we watch you doing your commentaries, when we watch you doing all the different things, when you're a sportsman, you do it at the highest level. My thing is, I just wondered, when you get up in the morning and the kids are there, Daddy, do you go, no, down, give me 5? What's it like?
No.
You want pancakes for breakfast? No, make them yourself. I'll show you how. What's it like?
I mean, first of all, I'm a big soft girl dad for sure. Like,
I knew you would be.
Yeah, no.
I knew you would be.
Listen, being a parent's a fantastic thing because it's the greatest responsibility and privilege you can possibly have. So yeah, you do want well for them and all that sort of stuff. But there are moments where they've got me wrapped around their little finger and you can't help but do lovely things for them because, that's a joy. Yeah, I mean, we have a level of excellence that we aspire to, and we have a level.
You mean for yourself?
And that applies to the work, it applies to life, all these things. But equally, and you know this from spending time with, organizations, as you say, like the Not Forgotten, like, in amongst all that seriousness that the military has, like what we call cheerfulness in the face of adversity is ever present. Like the sense of humor is amazing, and the sort of and the sort of not being too serious when you don't have to be serious exists. Still have to do it to a standard, stuff, turn up on time, all that sort of stuff. But doing that job with a smile on your face a lot of the time is a huge thing. So
let's talk about all the TV work. We'll get on to, because you said you want to talk about how life is for you at the moment. We'll come to that at the end. But TV work, you're doing more and more and more. Thank goodness. Obviously, you came to a lot of people's living rooms, city rooms, wherever they're watching Strictly. That happened, and that suddenly you were even more. You were everywhere, and people knew your story, and you were very honest. God, you were good at dancing.
Thank you.
And you loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. Didn't you?
I mean, it's a big challenge and an absolute chaos and a privilege of a thing to get to do. But yeah, a really strange thing. You know what? I'd been working in telly for about 5 years at that point, and and by that point, I'd already worked on Paralympics and World Championships, and all the types of stuff which I still do now. But Strictly is of another level. Like that is you, especially because we made the series during COVID. Like 14 million people watching, and yeah, it's all about the journey. It's all about the story. It's all about a thing. And we were living through a pretty. It was a wild, extreme thing. It was great. So that definitely was a thing I fully loved doing because it's a joy. And Amy Dowden, my partner, for example, is an amazing person to get to be with.
Isn't she lovely?
But I'm also kind of a fan of like what you might call type 2 fun, which is at the time you might not kind of be enjoying it, but you're going to appreciate the fact you managed it after the fact. And Strictly was massively that. The whole thing is you are running at a brick wall and you're like, is a crack going to appear that I can actually get through here? Because it's just like, you've got to have this done by the weekend or else you are going to fall flat on your face, almost literally.
So it's been announced who the new presenters are.
No way.
Yeah, it was announced 21 minutes ago.
You are kidding me.
No, and it's exactly what the papers have been saying.
Okay.
So the new presenters of Strictly, Emma Willis, Josh Widdicombe and Johannes.
Wow.
Isn't that lovely?
That's lovely. I mean, obviously know Johannes very well from the show because he's like a total darling. And
isn't he adorable?
He's adorable. Oh. And one of the things that took me by surprise, not just about him, but pretty much everybody that worked on the show, is that they're your rivals, they're your competition. But actually, the advice everybody gave you throughout the process was really surprising. Like, I'll try this and I'll love that, a bit more of that. And you're like, why are you helping me? You're meant to be the competition. The reason they're helping you is actually they just want the show to be really good and they just want you to be really good and they just want you to enjoy what you're doing. So loads of people were like that, but Johannes probably more than anybody would come up and just, give you that encouragement and that sort of stuff. It's great. I don't know Emma all that well, but obviously worked with her in things like the One Show and things over the years. As you know, an absolute brilliant broadcaster.
Absolutely, real pro.
And Josh
is hysterical.
Unbelievable. Obviously, I worked with him on the last leg on the Paralympics several times. What an amazing... I thought they were joking with that.
No, it's been announced.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Jingzo. All right, well,
good luck to them.
Good luck to them. And
also, I hope the papers give them a nice ride. Don't be just...
Totally.
Let them get on with it.
Oh, and let them make it their own because nobody wants... Like, there's nothing worse, and you've done this long enough to know that, like, that comparison to somebody else is not... It doesn't help. Because, like, the reason you're hiring someone different like that is because you want them to bring their sort of... their energy to it and their brilliance to it. That's a fun cast.
Yeah,
that is fun.
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. So you're presenting stuff. That do you now? I think I know the answer to this. Do you call yourself a teacher who's now a presenter who was a Marine? Do you call yourself a Marine who's now a TV presenter and radio? Because you do what you do all now. Or what? You, do you know where you're a TV presenter?
Yeah, so
That's what. Hopefully, that's what you call yourself.
No, completely. So, and I worked for a long time at becoming comfortable with that for myself, but wanting people to know that to be the case, which is I am who I am now.
Good.
Yes. And I am, professionally speaking, absolutely, I'm a TV presenter. Former Royal Marine. We never say ex. We always say former. Ex means you're dead.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, we tend to. Former Royal Marine.
Very pleased you're not an ex.
And technically still a teacher. I still pay my subs to the General Teachers Council each year.
Would you still go? You wouldn't do that.
Well, the truth is, and you know this, presenters are teachers. Like, our job is to impart information and knowledge on people using the resources that we have available. Our classroom might be different, but it's the same skill. It's the same.
But that's your thing goal. Is information. I mean, with all the commentaries that you do and the Paralympics, and then you've got your show on Channel 5.
Yeah, Worship.
And let's talk about your real life. I mean, I want you to do more and more telly. I really do, because I think you're a fantastic presenter, and you've got what the late Terry Wogan, who I worked with for many, many, many years.
Amazing.
And Terry always had the twinkle, and he always goes, "Stop calling it the twinkle. It sounds rude." No, it is. But you've got the twinkle, which I said to you when we were doing Morning Live. But you in your private life, we don't talk about private lives in this, but you want to talk about this. you're in a really good place.
Oh, yeah.
You're so happy.
Yeah, I think basically about a year ago, I found myself in a fairly dark place.
And you've been open about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not to be of any surprise. You know, you live through the sort of extremes that I have in my life.
And that's where
it's going
PTSD,
to catch up with you. Exactly. And so about a year or so ago, that's when you're always living with PTSD and you're always living with trauma and all that sort of stuff. But it's when I was going to say forced to deal with it, but like I finally had time, space, energy, and the presence to do the recovery that was required. And having done a physical recovery before, I knew what that involved in so much as, you know, you set time aside for it. You need to set a time, like a process to get through it and all that sort of stuff. And so I did like a weekly therapy, in particular EMDR therapy, which, you know, it's very tailored toward trauma, PTSD, and sort of rewiring your brain to put these memories in the right place so they don't kind of plague you in the way that
the nightmares.
Or just, you know, the truth is I did 14 years of carrying that baggage with me, and I did pretty well in those 14 years.
Yeah.
And I did what was necessary to survive the physical wounds. I did what was necessary to start a new career and just get on with life, and did amazing things in that time, but I did it carrying a lot of baggage, whereas I have now actually processed a lot of that trauma. I'm carrying less baggage. Yes, I'm still going to live with PTSD for the rest of my life, but like I now have coping strategies. I now have a much more healthy relationship with it, and I know I'm going to be okay. You know,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I feel good for it.
And your babies, you know, your beautiful babies, and your partner as well. That they all, it's not like you keep anything hidden.
No, absolutely not. Like, you know, so I co-parent my kids with their mum, who I was with in Afghanistan and went through rehab with me. And listen, that's her story to tell, but she was, you know, she has her own effects of living through that stuff.
Yeah.
But equally, we have our own normality of what it is to live with a disability, what it is to live with a mental health issue, all of those sorts of things. And we don't hide that from our kids. Rather, they're growing up the benefit of being exposed to that in a positive way, I would like to think and hope, and they are going to be better for it.
And actually, isn't that's the massive difference in these days, that if, you know, if this had happened maybe 40 years ago, the mental health side wouldn't have been discussed, and keep it from the kids and all of that. And now your kids are aware and they know, and that's wonderful.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a big part of it started because I live with a physical disability. So, you know, the day that my kids sort of noticed that my hands were different, for example, and that doesn't happen right away. And
yes, I suppose. No, why would it?
Yeah,
that's not daddy.
Yeah, totally. And then so one day they do realize, and then they ask what happened, and then you explain, and then with all kids, you answer a question, and the next thing is why, the next thing is why.
Yeah.
And so you started with what happened to your hand, and then the next thing you're explaining the Middle East peace process. You know, like what is this? So. So they've been exposed to all of that stuff to the right degree. You have to make some judgment and protect their innocence in some way. But equally, their life is so much more rich for growing up with Uncle Dave, who's got the robot legs, and, you know, understanding that daddy's, you know, good at some things, bad at some things, you know, hurts in certain ways. Like, they have a much richer, more inclusive, empathetic life, which is what we want for our kids. We want them to grow up to be better than us, don't we, basically? And they've got all the benefit of that.
And also, I'm sure that they're very, you know, Dad, do you need help with? I can imagine, because you're not keeping it secret from them.
No.
Oh, can I help you do that, Dad? You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're lovely in that way. In that sort of like, what you'll see is, like any kid in particular, they'll have their sort of like silly moments where like you cannot get them to help you with some mundane task. As soon as they see me struggle, the wall goes down and they step in. Like they can almost stop being sort of a kid for a second and just become this human being that's there to help you. And that's a really, really lovely thing.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
And doesn't one of your children have the name? Oh, isn't that right?
Yeah. So both my kids, their middle names are after Sam and Ollie. So it's Sam and Olivia, that were my friends that were killed in the blast.
That's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, amazing. And those guys as well, like, you know, again, that's a hard thing to explain to a kid, but a beautiful thing to explain to a kid, because Sam and Ollie were exceptional human beings. Like, I was so grateful to know them. Ollie was my boss in Afghanistan. He was the same age as me, but he was our troop commander, and he was such an amazing leader, and like, what an amazing and difficult job he had to do. Let's take this sort of rabble of amazing human beings and be in charge of them. Well, some of them were older, some of them were more experienced, all sorts of stuff. So he was amazing in that sense, and just a great, solid human being. And then Sam, who was like one of the senior Marines, he'd won a military cross in Afghanistan before. He was just an unbelievable Marine. Just like, God, you just felt invincible when you were next to him. He was just amazing. So yeah, lost those two guys, but they live on in their names.
How I love that.
And I want them to know that, like, those were amazing people, amazing human beings.
And the soldier when you opened your eye and said thank you.
Yeah, Louis. Yeah, my mate Nevs. So he went on to have quite a battle with post-traumatic stress disorder himself quite early on. Recovered through that. Basically there was 10 people on the ground sort of in that incident. Half of them were killed or injured. The other half walked away with some form of trauma from it, let's be honest.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah. And I think only maybe about one of them is still in the Marines to this day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's 15 years.
It is a lifetime
we're all
ago.
grown ups now, I'd be retiring next year. I would have done my 22 years in the Marines,
You still would have ended up doing TV, because I think
reckon?
Because it was, you're just a natural. Don't get embarrassed, but you are a natural. Nobody, but you didn't go, you just do it.
Yeah. Oh, listen, like
you talk, you're you.
Yeah. And listen, 10 years of doing it, more experience, getting more comfortable in your own skin, the mechanics of it, all that stuff becomes second nature. And once that becomes second nature, then you really can be yourself, as you know. And that's a lovely place to be now. Like, I love pitching up at whatever job it might be, from the Olympics to the Chelsea Flower Show, whatever it is, and going, not thinking to myself, oh, how does Monty present this? How does Claire present this? How do I present this?
Yes, exactly.
What's my style? And seeing people respond to that. Like, my big thing is I'm an enthusiast. So like I can turn up at just about anything because I'm going to show enthusiasm for it.
That's fantastic.
I also think like it doesn't matter what the thing is, particularly when it involves people who are passionate about that thing.
Yes.
Like, if that's their thing and
they
want to talk about it and it gets them excited,
real people's
they
real
should
stories.
have they deserve their 5 minutes of fame, or whatever you want to call it, but their 5 minutes to talk about it and tell people why this thing's special, amazing, unique, whatever it is. That's what things like Morning Live do so well, like just bringing lots of different.
What would you like to do? Because you can do anything. You can do anything, JJ. You know it because of all the things you've done. What's the sort of, there you were as a young man wanting to be in the Marines.
Yeah.
So what is I really want to now?
I think I'm very lucky. I work on a lot of different programs, and the simple thing is I would like to keep doing them forever. Like, I want to present the Olympics and the Paralympics forever. I want to be
maybe
able to...
Maybe in 2040 when we get it...
come back here.
For the North.
I would adore...
What a great idea.
I would adore to still... And I don't for one second take for granted that I will still be doing this.
Well, I hope so.
I hope so, but we know what it's like. But that would be amazing. That'd be amazing to get to do that. So keep doing those things. The thing I really I love doing, if I'm being honest, is just pottering around at home. And I'd love to basically have a program that's just pottering with JJ Chalmers, just like me, just me in my shed fixing things.
But you do the show.
Yeah. I do traveling auctioneers and things like that. And I love them. Fantastic. But I just kind of want to do it in my own back garden. I just want a camera in my shed, and I just want to kind of talk away to myself.
Have you told anybody you want to do that?
Do you know what? I've never really said this out loud, but I'll put it on the ledger. That's what I want to do.
Why don't you just do it?
I'm going to. I'm about to hopefully build a house in the new year, and I'm going to build.
You're going to build a house.
Yeah.
You don't mean you physically?
I'll do some of it myself for sure, but crucially, I'll build a workshop, and then that'll be my happy place where I just go and tinker away and potter away.
Oh, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I think so.
Just make it.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to talk about your private life and how things are good at the moment.
Yeah, like I say, I'm just in a very nice place, and I think it's funny that we've come in and we've chatted about work, and I would have always done that as the thing that sort of defines who I am. But actually, It's a part of who I am, and I adore what I get to do for a living. But like even your question about like, what are you now? Are you a TV presenter, former Marine? No, I'm just JJ.
And your daddy.
One of the things I do is be a TV presenter. A massive thing I do is be a dad.
Yeah.
But like I've got to a place where, particularly because of the work I've done in the last year, where I'm just far more comfortable being me. And I think a big part of it is like that drive that made me survive, that drive that got me through that trauma, that sort of stuff is a wonderful thing, but you need to be the one driving it. Like there have been periods in the last 15 years where basically I went into fight or flight mode and I chose fight. And that fight was necessary to make me survive. It was necessary to get me through my recovery. It was necessary to find a new profession. But there came a day where it just kind of got exhausting. And it was also like, what? Why am I still fighting? Like, do some living, do some chilling, do some, like, just being present. And I'm doing so much more of that, particularly with my kids. And I just bloody adore it. Yeah.
And Sophie as well. You and Sophie.
Yeah, like I say, I co-parent with their mum, and Sophie's now a part of their life, and we've got this wonderful sort of blended family, I suppose.
Lovely.
Is what you kind of call it. And their life is richer for me being in a better place, I think.
That's so fantastic. It's just always, I really mean it. You and I were backwards and forwards trying to get a date in.
Oh my God, we've been trying to do this forever.
I know. Because
and the thing is, if I'd done this with you like 2 years ago when you first reached out, it would have probably been a different interview.
Yeah.
I think...
well, things happen for a reason.
Yeah, totally. And I think there is, like, I love what you do. I love you. And I love this unapologetically positive thing, because there is a lot of darkness in this world, and there's a lot of stuff. And it's not about brushing it under the carpet. It's not about looking away from it. It's about allowing other people to do that, but creating a counterbalance in that stuff.
And we're totally aware that all that negative stuff is out there, and the very bleak and dark news. But I think we all need to remember that there are many, many good people. We keep hearing on the news about all the bad things.
Yeah.
We just need to keep hearing more and more about the good people, the good things, and the silliness and fun, because it's still there. Like you said, you're all facing the most horrific, frightening, in our eyes, awful things, and yet you had this crazy humor and you'd laugh about it. And I think we all need it.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I love working on each year, we just did it last month, obviously, was the London Marathon.
Mm.
That's always an amazing reminder of how much good there is in the world.
Yeah. Look how much money's raised.
Huge amount of money raised, and tens of thousands of people coming out to do it. And every single one of them doing it for a reason bigger than themselves, basically. And it's such a privilege to put a microphone in someone's face when they're running it, when their emotions are high, their emotions are low, whatever it might be. And equally, you've just picked a random out of the crowd is how it kind of works. But you find the most extraordinary and harrowing sometimes stories.
Yeah.
Because like to be able to achieve something like that, you've got to have something driving you, basically.
Well, look at Jordan, the FTD brothers. And
oh my Lord. Incredible.
Jordan came on the podcast, I think it was about 5 weeks before.
Amazing.
And I adore them. I think what he's doing is fantastic.
Yeah.
But people like that, everyone's got their story, like you said before. Mm-hmm. And I want you to get all those stories out of people, because that's what you're so brilliant at. Now, we always ask everybody when they do this podcast, either you can bring something or just tell us about something that brings you huge joy. So what brings you personally? Now, family aside, because we know obviously that. What brings you joy?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I told you I'm an enthusiast, so I can pretty much find joy in just about everything. I think the thing which I like the most is silliness. And it's one of the things which I don't actually get to do. People probably at home don't know me for it, because a lot of things I do can be a bit serious. When you're presenting the Olympics or the Queen's funeral or whatever it might be, there's a serious tone. And people know me from the Marines, for example, so they presume he's a fairly serious person. And I am. But I love silliness.
Okay, how silly? Well, I love silly too.
For example,
how silly?
My favorite jokes and stuff in the world are those sort of long-running jokes that have run for so long that they've gone to be unfunny. To the point where they've run so long they're funny again. And it's just a consistency to a dumb thing. Like I have a bit of a phrase in life which is don't muck about when it comes to mucking about. So it's like if you're going to do something silly or muck around, do it really, really well. Do it to the absolute nth degree. And it's just that's why I love shows like Taskmaster's a perfect example of it. Like the whole thing is about the premise of like,
being
imagine
silly.
we were like industrial scale silliness, and like just having that level of resource, time, freedom, and creativity to just do something dumb. That's a bit of me.
I'm obsessed about. I think you're the person to do it with me. I've just realised.
What's that?
I'll tell you off this because I think we need to do it together.
Okay, great.
Just randomly, we're going to do this thing together.
Fantastic.
I've got it planned. Yes.
Watch this space.
Yes, watch this space.
But you, like, say, even every time I've presented Morning Live with you, for example, you're always like, let's just do something silly. Record it quickly, just put it out. And again, it's that. I love when in Morning Live is a perfect example. You've got like 5 or 6 people and everyone buys into that idea and you just do something random and stupid and silly. And because it's with this ensemble cast, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's so much more of it. So silliness is my joy.
Okay, I'm going to make your silliness dream come true.
Oh, great.
You might look at me afterwards and just go, you want me to do that? And I know you'll say yes.
No, great.
Okay, yay! JJ, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Always a joy. And I'm your biggest cheerleader.
Oh, you absolutely are.
No, I think you're wonderful.
Thank you for that. And I'm glad we finally got to do this.
We did. Thank you.
Gaby Roslin Podcast.